Hello, everyone, and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 27th of February to Friday the 3rd of March 2023. I hope you are well, and I trust that you all are. And as usual, I cannot do this podcast alone. I cannot, so I roped in Rob. Hello, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, get your words out, love. You haven't got to do it for much longer, don't worry. Hello, everybody. How are we all this week? Are you well? Alexander, how are you? Well? All good
Yes,
in the hood?
Average. I've already told you why. I won't bore.
He's had a week.
I've had a week. Honestly,
had a week, haven't you?
Take a bad week and stack another bad week on top of it, and that's only half a bad week I've had. It was honestly an awful week. I literally, the number of texts I sent to Ben this week saying I'm going to cry. It was outrageous.
Oh.
I'm fine now, though. I'm always happy to see your happy little face, Rob. If only you were here, so I could just pinch your cheek and give it a
pinch my solitary. You want to pinch my solitary dimple, don't you? Yes.
I want to pinch your dimple.
Yes.
Give your dimple a tickle.
Right, so little announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you will have become aware that there's a new Twitter handle going around the internet right now, and that would be the Twitter account for the new EastEnders podcast that will be coming to you very, very soon after Alex has left in his taxi and departed. The sound of Julia's theme being tickled on the ivories behind him. If you would like to follow my new podcast on Twitter, simply type into Twitter at E20 After Dark for more details as they come over the coming weeks. Alex and I's last episode will be on the 1st of April, some would say appropriately. I'm still waiting for Alex for us to get to that day and for Alex to eventually turn and say, oh, it's April Fool. I'm not going anywhere. Got you. I don't think it's going to happen though, unfortunately. So follow at E20 After Dark, because the EastEnders podcast is going to be called Albert Square After Dark. That's the official title for it. Announcement. Yes, I've got graphics.
Yes,
I've got people sorting music out for me. I'm going all out with this. It could be the biggest flop since floppingdom began. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll get excited. It's all very exciting. So that's coming to your ears and your eyes very, very soon. Talking of your eyes, for viewers that are watching the podcast, it's the start of a new month. You know what that means, don't you, Alex?
It's time to, what do we call it? Shift the Sharon.
Shift the Sharon, I think we decided on. I often wonder if this is why Alex is leaving, for my obsession with alliteration. You never know. Right, so we're on February. We were on February. February's gone in a heartbeat, like it always does. February just rushes by, doesn't it?
Short month.
Yeah, short month. Do you enjoy Pancake Day? Yeah. All that's done though.
I did.
Yes,
I did. I had lovely pancakes. I wouldn't have known it was happening. No advertising anyway. Anyway,
no one told you. Carry on. Right, so we are now in March, ladies and gentlemen. What have we got? Shatter. That was the month-long wedding, wasn't it? Sharon and her wedding dress for an entire month with Shirley about to shoot Phil again.
Do you remember the trailer? He floated down the square and Hurricane Sharon, wasn't that Hurricane Sharon?
I don't think that was that the same week? Was that the same week? I can't remember. But it was iconic.
She was in a wedding dress for that. I'm sure she was.
She was, but then didn't she return? She returned.
Oh, that's right. She was meant to be getting married to someone, and she knocked on Phil's door.
Yeah,
that's it.
Help me. That one. Yeah.
Help me, Phil.
Let's see how long this stays on the wall for. It may collapse halfway through. But there we are then. So that's March. And we have quite the week to discuss from this week's EastEnders. So let's get the hell on with it.
We shall start then with Zack and Whitney's story this week. And upon coming back from a scan and getting the results, they found out that the unborn child has got Edwards syndrome. And unfortunately, obviously, the outcome of that isn't very good. And the doctors suggest that they terminate the pregnancy. And so then there's a lot of discussion between Zack and Whitney this week about the moral maze, I guess, that they're taking through this, but also their emotional attachment that they have already made with their child. It was, incredibly sad scenes. Reflective. It reminded me a lot of Kush and Shabnam.
Yeah.
The comparisons were very similar. Done obviously different story. Done performed differently as well. But oh my goodness, especially the final scene where Whitney, because obviously Whitney had to give birth. fully terminate the pregnancy, and just the devastation when she was holding her child in that small baby grow. It was just, or the blanket, just awful. It was just an awful, but gut wrenching scenes.
Yeah, it was a tough watch. It really was a tough watch, and really well done. I thought really nicely acted by Shona McCarthy and James Farrow. Really nicely done by them. Really kind of nice direction as well. It was really nicely handled. Yeah, it was a really tough watch and really heartbreaking performances. And I have to say, there's an element of me that was sort of surprised that they went for the termination route quite so quickly. There was a side of me that kind of wondered whether they were going to sort of do that Whitney was going to say, look, I can't handle it. There might still be a chance that this might be okay. And for them to kind of go throughout the pregnancy and then still have the baby die at the end of it. So I'm glad that they, in a way, that they sort of went for this route for it, because it sort of, it removed the melodrama away from it and made it the kind of like the real issue that it was supposed to be. So I thought they did that really well. So yeah, and I thought it was quite nice that they ended up calling the baby Peach as well. I thought that was quite appropriate, because it's been a nice little sort of I don't want to say character note, but like you know what I mean. It's been a nice little beat that they've been referring to it as Peach throughout the entire pregnancy, and then it's decided at the end, let's just call her Peach, and then and then that was that. Yeah, it was really nicely done. Very sad though. Incredibly
sad. I mean, like I said, scenes between Zack and Whitney, and when they were kind of. It was like the fact they were tipping toe around each other, and they were both blaming each other for what was happening here, and they both felt the burden of guilt toward the termination as well. When they were everyone around them was saying there is nothing to feel guilty for. This is the most understandable step to take. And like you, I thought at the beginning of the week that Whitney kind of had her doubts. Zack was. Immediately like, this is just, it would be cruel, because there was indications that obviously that the child could be in a lot of pain as well while it was growing inside of her, and Zack was like, you don't want, this is just a cruel way for a life to continue, but Whitney was like, what if it is okay? There was conversation there saying it might not be full Edward syndrome, it could be partial Edward syndrome. Despite that, it still isn't a life outside, really. It's just it's not, there's not much left, but it was just the scenes where you saw Whitney kind of walking around. She was in a lot of pain, where she was taking the pills for the termination, and just the Zack wanted to comfort her, but she was pushing him away. But it wasn't because she was angry at Zack, it was because she was angry at herself, and Zack was angry at himself, and they had to hash it out in order for them to both be able to comfort one another at the end of it. Like you, I just thought the scenes were really well done and thoughtfully done as well. And like you, I'm glad that they didn't go down the route of turning it into some kind of drama that it was unnecessary, because they could have, if they wanted to, they could have maybe stretched it another 2-3 weeks and made it like not so much about this child, baby Peach, that was growing inside of her, but more about the kind of ethics of, how Whitney would kind of take it, want to keep it, and so on. All round well done.
And I mean, it's almost, on that note, it's almost sort of testament to the kind of era that we're in at the moment, where it was actually more character led than story led, because it's to do it story led would have been to sort of drag it out a bit longer, just to sort of kind of wring as much sort of emotional drama out of it as you possibly could, whereas this was very much character led. And I think it was this week where there was a conversation between Whitney and Zack where you actually sort of realize why these two characters have been put together, because actually they've had sort of similar upbringings. I didn't really realize kind of what they had in common in terms of their childhoods until they were kind of sitting on the bench and sort of talking to each other, and you kind of sit there and think, oh, actually, yeah, you two make sense together. Like, it's a good pairing, because it seemed a bit random, Zack and Whitney, at first, when they sort of randomly had that one night stand and then were thrust into this kind of pregnancy story. And now they've got closer as this has gone on, which I think is a really sort of nice romance story. And I think you can sort of tell that Whitney is slowly sort of really starting to have feelings for Zack as well, because of the impact. I think it's they've been forced together in the situation, but I think that they're working really nicely together. And I think that Zack certainly feels that way as well. So it seems mad to me now that Zack and Whitney would ever sort of be anything but together now. So I don't know how it's going to work. The one interesting thing is the fact that Zack's HIV hasn't been brought up. at all during
That's
this.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of makes me wonder, is there still an element of drama in that to come where, there's at some point Whitney's going to find this out and is she going to kind of try and put two and two together and come up with the wrong conclusion? And do you know what I mean? Like, is there going to be that element to it? Because presumably it's been kept aside from all this for a reason. So I don't know where that's going to come into play next, really.
I'm glad they kind of detached the HIV storyline away from this, really. And I know it will kind of come together because, as you say, I think Whitney will wrongfully put together the kind of two situations and think that may have been the reason for the cause. And so that will come out, and I think that is then the drama of the story, as you say. So that will be then where the drama will be led to. Yeah. But I'm glad that they didn't tie up the baby, the pregnancy, as part of that in this element of it, because I think not only would it flood the story, I think too much, but also I think that it's it's detracting, as we've said already, it's detracting for what we're meant to be focusing on, and that is right now the relationship between Whitney and Zack and how they're having to survive through this terrible tragedy that they're going through together. And it was interesting also that we found out that Chelsea and Felix knew about it too, because I can't remember that being shared. But then in the episode, they were very supportive of her. And and at first I kind of thought, was Whitney pretending that she was having a miscarriage or something at this point? Because I wasn't aware that Chelsea and Felix knew so much.
It didn't jar that to me, because I sort of kind of accepted the fact that we're supposed to kind of believe that Whitney, Chelsea, Felix and Finlay, somewhere in the mix, have kind of become quite close whilst they've been living together, and you can sort of see that they're all quite good friends now. So it sort of made sense to me that they would all know, and that we didn't necessarily have to see Whitney telling them. Because the story really was about Zack and Whitney, so it kind of made sense to me that it removed that. It kind of felt like you didn't really need to show it. I thought, but it made sense to me. I don't know, because they all are quite close in that flat now, in that house now rather. So and there was a nice moment where sort of Whitney could hear Jordan crying, and it was sort of that was sort of affecting her. So you've got kind of these characters kind of living together at the moment, and they sort of make sense in that environment. So which is nice. I think that's working. So yeah, I wasn't surprised, but I get what you mean.
Yeah. I'm just talking about Finlay. Where is Finlay? Where's he gone?
I don't know. He's busy under his car. What's the car called? I can't remember what it's called, but he's busy under the bonnet of that.
That story. I know, I've forgotten about that. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're all in together. They're all they're all one family essentially under the roof. So so going forward, then I guess it's now the reveal. Zack has to at some point, as Zack and Whitney get closer, has to kind of admit.
Sam's still the only one that knows at this point, isn't she?
Yeah, does Sharon know?
I don't think Sharon. No, Sharon doesn't know either.
Oh no, because they had that scene, didn't they, when they were talking about with Martin about.
I feel like though that Zack has been, because it's been made quite clear that Zack has been looking online about all of this quite a lot. So and kind of can throw statistics out quite happily, because he's been become so obsessed with like looking at all the kind of statistics with Edwards syndrome. So I would find it hard to believe that Zack hasn't at one point kind of tried to see if there's any connection between that and HIV. It seemed unlikely that thought wouldn't have landed in his head. So I wonder if Whitney does try and throw that at him, he will be able to say straight away, no, there's no connection towards that whatsoever. So let's not go there. Yeah. So I don't know, but we'll see how it kind of comes out. Like I say, it feels like it's been sort of paused for a reason. So I want, because he's still kind of got to tell people. So I feel like that's the next step in Zack's story. Where Whitney comes into that remains to be seen. But I think it's kind of going to shift focus now, because we've had a lot of Whitney focus, rightly, because she's the mother of the baby. But I feel like we're now going to. I feel like the focus is now going to shift down onto Zack and sort of moving forward with his life and coming to terms with everything that's happened to him. Because it's been a busy old few months for Zack, bless him. It's quite a lot to take in.
And he hasn't run away. He hasn't got a duffel bag and run off yet. So
he tried to run off once, didn't he? So he's learning. He's
getting better. He's getting better. Yeah. Lovely. So more of that story to come. I mean, I'm sure that in the weeks to come, there's also going to be the Whitney's going to feel very sad and
vulnerable,
depressed and very vulnerable. And as we say, this story with Zack will obviously come out at some point. Right. So coming up next then is Denise and her sordidness. So bless Denise. She wanted to be friends with Ravi. And
Good luck.
Ravi, I know. Well, Ravi pretty much said as good as that. He kind of said, "Well, that's cute, but nah, what we've gone too far to just be friends. So good luck with that." So upon her return, there's an epidemic happening on Albert Square. By the way, have you not noticed? What? No one has bread. Every week,
national bread shortage.
A bread bin gets opened in someone's house, and no one has bread. And you know who has all the bread?
Who has all the bread?
Phil Mitchell. Because remember when Phil rampaged that store and he sat there eating bread,
stolen it all,
with all the crumbs spitting out of his mouth?
Yes.
So that's why the Mitchells basically took all the bread, hiked up the price. No one's got bread. That's economics,
there is, though.
kids.
Tend to. It's never that they don't have any bread. It's that they only have one slice left. And I never understand this when this happens on TV in general. It's a very common thing on TV for them to show that they're low on food by opening the bread bit and showing one slice of bread in the packet. Like, how would you only have one slice of bread? It's made in two so that you put 2 pieces of toast in the toaster or 2 pieces of bread for a sandwich. Who is only having one slice of bread at a time?
They're on the poverty.
Who does that?
It's shorthand for we're on the poverty line, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it's
who does that?
No bread. I don't know. But then you have to argue
if you're a person
that
why
only
has one slice of bread, then you need shooting because it's an inhuman thing to do. All right, so just stop it.
You say the bread works in twos.
It works in twos.
Why do they sell cans of hot dogs in 8 but rolls in 6?
There you go.
The mystery continues.
These are the heavy questions you come to our podcast for.
Anyway, there you go, kid. So Ravi is basically as good as said to Denise. That's cute. Denise has found out though that there's an investigation underway. That Jack so cleverly covered up so well that he's investigating Ravi. My favorite line of all time is Denise walking in and saying, "Who's that?" and Jack closing the laptop and just going, "You didn't see that."
I wonder how often that works. Do you reckon that works often? It's like the Doctor in Doctor Who to sort of just attaching his fingers to the side of someone's head for a memory wipe. You didn't see that. Oh, what? See what? I didn't say anything. No. Briefly on the subject of Ravi and that little thing that him and Denise had, that little scene where he was like, "Yeah, that's cute." I suspect that is supposed to be hinting now that this is going to go a little bit darker in the coming weeks, don't you think? Because Ravi is basically implied, if you think that this is it, then you're very much mistaken, young Denise. So he's
winding her up now, isn't he?
He is winding her up. He's getting manipulative, and he's implying that she is like far from done with him. So I think this is going to start getting a little bit stalkery in the coming months. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know so much about stalkery, but I think he's having fun seeing Denise squirm, and I think it's going to get to the point where he's going to give her an ultimatum.
That's why he's annoyed.
Well, that's right. He wants to make her squirm.
I think he's going
to give an ultimatum, ultimately, that he's going to basically push her to such a point that he's going to be like, "Well, if you want this to stop, there's only one way out."
Yes, but it's not going to go well.
It's not going to go well. But also, Denise is getting quite panicked as well because now she knows that Jack is investigating. Although she didn't see anything, Jack is investigating. Wink, wink. Jack is investigating Ravi for crimes because he's part of the big ring of
against humanity.
yeah. Against chest hair.
Yes.
I think Denise thinks now that if Ravi gets questioned by Jack, that Ravi's going to then kind of leak a bit of information to Denise as well. So Denise is in a bit of a
quandary.
Trapped. She's in a bit of a quandary. She's a bit trapped at the moment, and she doesn't know what to do for the right thing. And as well as all this, Jack's kids, both their kids, are getting kind of taught the ways of the birds and the bees by listening to Ravi have sex constantly every time they visit Nugget. Nice. So that's not much fun either, I'd imagine.
That poor kid. Honestly, I dread to think what his home life is like. You know what I mean? Like how I can't imagine anything worse than trying to sit and do my homework while listening to my dad have sex downstairs. That's just weird. Fornicating. That's just a bit weird. Poor Nugget. He has my sympathy because I can't imagine anything worse. And Denise has to go round because Jack's already, because when Amy tells him that this has happened, Jack's all ready to go around and like throw fists around. And Denise is like,
"Stop having sex with my kids."
Denise
not
is
with, around.
Around, not quite the same thing.
Different story,
Alex. Yes, yes, and Jack's all ready to go around and like throw fists and stuff, and Denise is like, "No, wait. What about that investigation that I haven't seen anything about? You might tarnish that, so let's not do that. I'll go and have a word with him."
Yeah.
And then Ravi again is all sort of just like overly flirtatious. He's getting a bit creepy now. I think that they're definitely going in that direction, and I think he probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that deliberately because he knew it would get back to Denise because he knew that Amy was in the house.
Oh, of course he did it deliberately.
So
of course he did.
it's all very weird. It's getting weird, Alex. I'm telling you now, it's getting weird. So yes.
But then I feel
you've got to remember, Alex. Ravi is a villain. He is a villainous character, and he was introduced as a villain. So we're getting back to
cad and a bounder.
Something like that. Yes.
But he's I don't know. It just feels weird that they're kind of like making Ravi this kind of like sex pest. I don't know. Why? I don't know.
He's come out from prison. I
suppose he's a randy sod. Yes.
And look who his father is.
He's out of prison for a long time.
And look who his father is. They're both trying to control women in quite different ways. All right. The difference is that Ravi and Denise aren't together, but he's still trying to sort of manipulate her and play mind games with her and trying to control her in a different sort of way. So there's basically a little like father like son thing going on here. Okay, and we'll talk about Nish in a moment because Nish is going to new levels at the moment, so that's getting interesting. But yeah, I suspect this Ravi and Denise thing is going to start getting a little bit darker. But I do enjoy this additional element of whatever's going on with the police investigation thing and the fact that Ravi is up to activities of an illegal nature. So I'm intrigued to see where that goes.
Well, yes. It'd be fun to watch that investigation carry out with the relevant people.
Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum, detective halfway. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba. Can't wait.
Nonsense.
I can't wait.
Yeah. So no. I mean, I just of all the directions this story's taken, I suppose it's taken every direction that you kind of didn't expect it to take.
Yeah.
We should be grateful for. It's a bit new, isn't it? Yeah, it's a bit exciting. Poor Denise, though. I mean, Denise doesn't need to feel too guilty though, because I know she did try. She did decide to have that night with Ravi, and it's been documented. Yes. Jack knows that something strange was happening that evening when she was kind of walking around looking for the key card. But I suppose all it takes is Ravi to say, "Yeah, I did have sex with your wife," and
he'll believe
his word against hers.
Because why the hell was she trying to hide a hotel key from him?
Well,
you don't have to be an amazing detective to work that out. Unfortunately, Jack is not an amazing detective, so he will work that out. So it's fine.
No, hardly.
So we'll see what happens.
All right then. So yeah, that's that then. I mean, that's going to carry on down the line. But I hope for the sanity of the kids that Ravi doesn't continue.
No,
that's bringing ladies round.
That's very unnecessary.
Aye. Okie doke. So next up, then we have. We have the goodness me, the story of the old couple that's going into the Gazette. It's that time of year again when the Walford Young Writers competition is happening at Walford High School. I know.
Happens every year.
So a piece of non-fiction writing an essay of your family history had to be written.
Yes.
And Denzel decided to completely distill a storyline from a Netflix show.
Yes.
Which he watched with Amy, and now he's got himself tied up in so many knots.
Yes, because he's now scared. He's genuinely now scared that Netflix are going to sue him. Okay, now I can relate to this. I can relate to this, Alex. All right, because here's a story for you. When I was doing my GCSEs, all right, I did GCSE music at school, and one of the tests that we had to do was for one of the things for the exam we had to do. We had to create a song for a musical. Right. So we had to write our own lyrics and we had to kind of learn how to play it on the keyboard. And then because we had like one of those Yamaha keyboards where you can like add different sort of like instruments in and all that kind of thing. On it. Yes. So we had all that sort of thing.
One, two, three.
So we had to make a song up. And I had heard when we first started making it, I had to get up early because Mum was at work and my little brother was at primary school. So he'd had the Hoobs on that morning, okay, as we were getting ready to go to school. And there had been an absolute toe tapper of a tune on the Hoobs. So I nicked that and then made the song from this music that I'd heard from the Hoobs on for my GCSE music, which got sent to the exam board and I got an A for it. but I was genuinely worried that I was going to get sued by the makers of the Hoobs because somehow the exam board would find out and send it to Channel 4. That all of that went through my head as a 16-year-old. I don't know why, but that's that. So I can understand Denzel's kind of horror and thought that him writing a little story for his school was going to somehow get back to Netflix and he was going to be sued by the creators of this series that he'd watched.
Fair enough. Relatable. Apparently, the story's more relatable than I thought. It's like the My Lovely Horse story from Father Ted.
Exactly.
And they're doing the Eurovision song. Do you remember the song? I want to hear a bit.
I can't remember. Oh, I've got to sneeze. Hang on. Oh, no, I'm all right. Scared it away. I can't remember. I think it was. I don't know. It wasn't like one of the famous ones. It wasn't like we're off to see the Tiddly Peaks.
Hooray!
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that. It was just a tune that they'd sang it halfway through, and it had really got in my head as an earworm. So as I was trying to think of this song to kind of make up on the keyboard, I'd sort of started playing this song, and then it just expanded from there. The lie grew.
To be fair, though, lie grew big time. We got you an A though in GCSE.
It did. I might now take that away. I've said this in public, so please don't take my GCSE musical. I'm very proud of it.
I'm just sure it won't matter nowadays.
No.
I'm sorry to say, Rob. It's like when we were talking about the record of achievement. Was it you I talked about record of achievement with once on a podcast?
Yes.
National record of achievement that you had to do at school, and you've never used it since. Yeah. So
I
there's
think
that.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're primary school, preschool kids shows. Like I remember loads of songs to this day from Sesame Street.
Yeah. There you go. So see how these things. Yeah, there you go.
Walk, I got it.
I mean, my question
is for cookie is good enough for me. Sorry, I'm carrying
cookies. My question for you, first of all, is if you were to I mean, how many kids could write that fascinating a story about their family history? How many teenagers really know that much about their family history? But it's meant to be
non-fiction, and that's the
exactly
point.
That's what I mean.
That's what Denzel was panicking about.
How many kids have got that fascinating a story to tell?
Well, no one.
No one has. Actual family. No one. So I can't blame him for making up this story whatsoever. I understand it completely. Maybe not to the extent that he did, where he implied that people were getting kidnapped and kind of taken abroad and going around the Caribbean and all that kind of thing. But no one can prove it. So I get it.
That's it. The problem is that he took it so far that it did sound like the extravagant plot point from a TV or film series from high budget TV streaming service. So and it took all it took was Patrick and Vi to act out being his grandparents to apparently fool the Walford Gazette. The woman's like, why not? I'm going to do a full page article about it. Now further made Denzel panic because as you see, there's nothing that the executive producers of Netflix and Hollywood like more than getting the local press from Walford sent straight to their post box. And
happens every week.
Every week.
I mean, it was all a bit of fluff, really. I don't think
fluffer?
A bit of a fluff. We haven't had a fluffer for a while, have we? Haven't had one of those fluffy little stories.
I like a fluff from now and then.
We would do a bit of fluff, and I mean, I know what you're like. You roll your eyes at this sort of storyline. It didn't offend me too much. I thought it was all right.
It was fine.
It did its thing, didn't it? And I thought Patrick and Violet work quite well together, actually. I can kind of see them
don't hold out for too long for that.
No, you'd think that would be the setting up of a romance, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, you think. No, it was fine because it was very condensed. It was a 1 week thing. I'm presuming it's not going to carry over to next week. It's happened. I think the panic is finished. And I mean, it might come up in in a few weeks' time where Denzel's said, "Oh, I've just got £100 check for."
Yeah.
Which is then that's really bad because he's earning money. On me. Netflix are going to want that £100 back for their storyline.
Technically, I think that is illegal.
I want to know what series that he stole it from. I genuinely
made it up.
Do you think?
It sounded
I genuinely thought they may had chosen.
Do you think that the BBC are allowed to explain the plot and do an entire plot about a series being nicked if they claim that I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. There's that much on Netflix. Who knows?
The BBC and Netflix have a handshake deal. They do programs. They cross platform. Yeah, hello. Yeah, they cross platform. The BBC do have that, and they have one with HBO as well and FX, I think. So they cross platform shows. Sorry, there you go, TV.
Well, let's be fair. We've got TV. What again, Alex? Sorry.
Not bad stuff.
Don't forget to bleep that, Alex. Write it down. There we are.
I don't know if I will anymore.
We're
past that now.
Get yourself cancelled. Who cares?
4 more episodes after this.
We've got much more discussion out of that storyline than I thought we would. So there we are.
We kind of discussed our own personal lives compared to when we.
Which isn't that what soap's supposed to do? Isn't that what soap's for? Pull your own experiences out and watch them play out on screen. It's a lovely thing.
I think we've all plagiarized. Exactly. You take it to heart. We've all plagiarized one way or another. Just normally it's a very personal. You kind of elaborate stories to friends that you may have seen on television.
Oh no!
Like that.
Go through the Eecleons of Walford Weekly's video history and see how much we plagiarized over the years. Go on, have a bit of homework. See if you can find anything.
I mean, when we used to play games, I plagiarized pretty much every single game show on the planet.
Every single week.
The world is plagiarism. Let's be honest, especially with Twitter. Like when you retweet a meme, technically you're plagiarizing someone else's work.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go.
There we are then.
Grateful for it. Denzel shouldn't be upset. Shouldn't be worried.
No,
Netflix don't care. Netflix don't give a monkeys. Yeah,
be encouraged. Good for you, Denzel. That's enterprise for you.
Anyone at school or college or university, for that matter, who've got a project and they've left it last minute, watch a series of Bridgerton or something on Netflix and plagiarize it. You'll be fine. Yeah. Take it from us.
My ancestors, that is.
Walford Weekly guarantee you'll be fine.
Yep.
So we've got one more small story to talk about before we get to the much exciting Panasar re-wedding marriage.
Blessing.
That's the word we're looking for. But we've got one little story.
He's ready for the knackers yard, isn't he?
Well, I'm going to pop off and get myself another coffee, I think, beforehand.
Oh, all right then.
Get ready for 11. Lola has returned from Disneyland with Jay and Lexi, and somehow, God knows how, they've racked up a debt of £2,000 buying absolute tat in Disneyland.
I'm a big fan at the minute of the fact that Lola, and since all this has been happening to her, she has amassed a collection of headscarves for every occasion.
None with Mickey though.
Well, no, she's got, it was very colourful. It's quite Disney-fied, the one that she brought back from Disney. So she's got a Disney headband, she's got a funereal headband, and she's got an everyday headband so far. So I'm enjoying this collection that she is kind of amassing together of just different occasions for her headband. It's very nice. Anyway, yeah, carry on.
No, you're quite right, and that's obviously gone toward the debt as well of £2,000.
Yes.
So what did she do? Ben has been asked by both Jay and Lola, separate occasions. So I don't think they know that each other has asked him whether he can pay off the debt. In the same time as this, Ben needs to learn about comparethemarket.com.
Doesn't he just?
Because he's just stayed with his insurance group. There's plenty of other insurance groups outside of the one you're with, Ben. You know?
Other ones are available.
And there are other comparison sites available. Go compare. moneysupermarket.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember when Tesco used to have a comparison site? Just as
vaguely at one point, yes. Yeah, yes, I do.
There you go.
Yes, I
Tesco.
do. So, yes. Yeah, I could go to Tesco. There we are then. So, yes, it seems that Ben is heading towards a little bit of a money crisis at the moment, doesn't he? Because he's kind of, like you say, he seemed quite under pressure when he seemed quite happy to offer it to Jay. And then when Lola turned around and said to him, I think because Jay just said that I need a bit of money. So I think he was just thinking like, what, a couple of £100, have that. And then Lola turned up at the Archers and said how much money it actually is. Because she hadn't told Jay how much the credit card bill
debt is.
So, yeah, he's got to deal with that by the end of the week, apparently, as well. So, I doubt
that's going to happen that quickly. I mean, I feel like a sale of some sort is happening, i.e. a sale toward the Panasars.
Why not? They've got everything else.
Well, they tried to buy the garage once before from Ben, didn't they? And that kind of got stopped. Or the car lot. I mean, if Jay was to sell off the car lot, he could make a pretty penny from that.
They could.
And he said the car lot wasn't making any money. So
no, which is not surprising at the moment. I can't imagine that many people are after a ton of top quality sports car at the moment. So
I need a car, Rob.
You do need a car. You should get in touch with Jay. Yeah, your car's gone down the Swanee, isn't it? Yeah,
a little bit. But it's
what
fine.
A shame it's not real. Your problems are real, but Jay's car lot is not real. That's a shame. So nothing much to discuss with this. Basically, Jay and Lola are back, and money problems are.
It's a setup, isn't it?
It's a setup. It was a bit of a setup just to sort of suggest that things are coming. So we will see how that plays out.
Money problems and cancer kind of go together. not in a happy marriage in any way, but like
Right.
if you have cancer,
Oh,
you
okay.
tend to rack up debt because you're not able to work, for argument's sake.
Okay, yeah,
you
that
have to
makes
take
sense.
time off work and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It feels like in a kind of a haphazard way that's where this might be also
Maybe.
linked as well.
Maybe.
I
'cause
just
it
feel
is
like it's a
kind of-
shame that because they bought so much rubbish from
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse's house.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It does suggest that
Lexi.
because Lola has sort of obviously she had to reduce the shifts in the first place, and whenever we've seen Lola at work, she's had quite a few times where she's kind of taken a bit of a funny turn, and she's having to kind of reduce the hours that she was working anyway. So yeah, I can kind of see her having to stop.
And also, her mum has offered her money as well, hasn't? And she's kind of said, "No, step back. We don't want that." So perhaps that's another way in for her mum as well.
Yeah,
so there's
maybe.
lots of directions this could turn.
Yeah.
This could certainly turn.
Much to come.
A bit more not Patsy Palmer.
Not Patsy Palmer.
Imagine Patsy Palmer came back. Aye, Patsy Kensit. Patsy Kensit comes back and popping those peas. Popping those peas with Patsy.
Pop.
Okie doke. So yeah, pop. All right. So the final
pick up a
story
Patsy.
then,
Yes.
is next. The Panasars had their marriage renewal this week. It's been brought forward. It's made a bit earlier by Nish to Thursday or Friday. It was Friday's episode, wasn't it? The actual ceremony, but on the show they said Thursday.
We're back talking about Friday episodes
they,
now. They're trying to confuse me, aren't they?
Because FA Cup shenanigans is happening on both ITV and BBC One.
Football's everywhere
both
this week.
The channels.
Madness. They don't think of the gays when they do these schedules. It's outrageous.
Oh yeah. To be fair, some of the footballers we do think of the gays.
To be fair,
but the Six Nations is on. The Six Nations is on. So
I don't know what that means.
That's the rugby.
Okay.
Oh, watch the Six Nations. Trust me, you'll be very entertained, Rob.
My mum fancies Johnny Wilkinson.
Again, your mum's the problem to this world, isn't it? Your mum really is the problem.
She's got a calendar. She's got a poster on a wardrobe like some sort of lovesick teenager. Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, nonsense. So what's happening? Mitch is getting jealous because he thinks that Mitch is kind of hanging around.
Nish is getting jealous because yes.
Hanging around, yeah. Asks Ravi to kind of keep an eye on him. Suki gets ear of this, gosh, gets shot of this, and kind of says like, stop kind of accusing me of kind of doing things. He outright calls her a whore at one point, even though there's no basis prior, let's just say, to the whole situation to this.
I mean, if there's anything that's going to encourage me to marry a man, that would be it. You know, he's really kind of praying his cards close to his chest there, isn't he?
He is. I mean, he's got Suki trapped.
Yes.
To the point that they're kind of having the ceremony. But then at the end of Friday's episode, the final Difter for the week, Suki sees Eve and says, You're actually the one I want. You're the one that I need to break. I need to somehow find a way of breaking it up with Nish. And at the same time, Vinny had witnessed Suki and Eve having the conversation. But Vinny, as always, gets the wrong end of the stick and thinks that Suki is having an affair with another man. So Suki kind of, So Suki kind of. Did you notice that Vinny also had his floppy, sad hair when he was talking to
stressed hair? She did that. Suki did that to him. Suki's affair was stressed him out again. Yeah.
Poor Vinny. He's so tortured, old Vinny, isn't he?
He is.
He goes through hairstyles like nobody's business. Like
I know. He's like a chameleon.
Parting, and
he's like a chameleon. Yeah, he's like a chameleon. His hair.
Come on, Vinny. I don't know.
His hair
anyway,
suits his mood. Yeah, I will. So, the coffee's hit you, wasn't it? So, yes, I mean, what I will say about this storyline this week, I love the ceremony. I love it when EastEnders does this. You know, just sort of really kind of goes in depth with how the ceremony looks and like what all the gorgeous outfits everyone was wearing. I love Janet.
Janet bought her own scarf.
Yeah, Janet came in and I said that Suki looked like a princess. I thought that was lovely, really nice. But yeah, the whole point of this by the end of the week is, like you say, Suki and Eve officially seem to be on. This is now the beginning of are we now in like full on affair territory, because Suki is now said, you're all that I want, actually. Nish is an arsehole, and you're the one that makes me feel like I can be myself. And it was all very, very sweet. I did like Thursday's Duff, to be fair. I thought that was quite an effective Duff. One of those kind of jaw-dropping ones where you realise that they've been overheard, and you thought it was Nish coming in. I did think it was Nish. I thought it was
Eve.
I know, because Eve was in the kitchen. Do you mean Ash?
Oh, sorry, Ash. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Christ alive.
On himself, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was Ash as well, actually.
Oh.
But yeah, it was very exciting. So, I mean, this is good stuff with these two. I mean, I like them together. They're just, they really work. The chemistry on screen is amazing. They've been nominated, by the way, for an award, I think.
Have they? What's the award?
I can't remember, but there was a link going around that about
what award ceremony.
Have a look on Balvinda Sopal's Twitter, and she's retweeted the award. That
you carry on talking, I'll have a look.
All right, you can have a look. You can have a look.
I'm gonna have a little look on Twitter live while we're doing this. Look at this.
Professional,
interactive,
right?
We're doing it. Oh, yeah, we're going for it.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the ceremony of it all, and there was some the relationship between Suki and Nish has kind of really gone up a notch now because, like you say, he called her a whore. He got really jealous of Mitch going round, like because he'd been trying to get hold of her, and as far as in his warped mind, he saw Mitch leaving the house and thought, well, she's clearly having an affair, and then basically said to Suki, "I've killed you with you before, and I will do it again." And presumably his plan was to talk to Ravi, and Mitch was going to, at the very least, kind of get beaten to a pulp or something. Yeah,
well, get a warning at least.
Quite worrying
for sorting out their plumbing. I mean, I was surprised by. I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised that the thing that Nish focused on was the fact that Mitch might be had a cup of tea with Suki.
Yeah,
when it was really that innocent, and it wasn't the fact that he had Suki had organized work to be done on the flats and his own house without his permission being asked beforehand, because he's now taken over the kind of the reins of looking after the Panasar businesses. And so I was surprised that wasn't a direction he was kind of taking as well, because obviously he wants this kind of coercive control with Suki. And so I was surprised that wasn't brought up along it as well. It's like, oh, you're having an affair with Mitch. Oh, and by the way, don't you dare start kind of organizing the business. This is mine now. You put on your tarp and go do some work at the Minute Mart. Why don't you? So that was the award, by the way. The award is the Divas Awards, and it's the media moment of the year.
Oh, okay. Nice.
There you go. You can vote now. Vote now. Diva Awards 2023.com.
Just do it when we finish recording.
Yeah, keep listening to this and then jump on there. Go on, do it.
So, I mean, are we now in the midst of those two kind of being together behind Nish's back now? Is that where we're at? Because it seemed by the end of the week that all was well between them. So, and they were kind of kissing and hugging and whispering sweet nothings into each other's ear. So, is this an affair now?
Well, the thing is that that's fine, all fine and well, but they seem to be forgetting one massive big-mouthed problem, and that's Stacey. Because Stacey's not particularly...
she was getting gobby this week, wasn't she?
She's getting more and more confident and more kind of showing that she isn't going to be afraid of just letting Nish know exactly what she knows. Which was a kind of a turn up for the books, considering she was quite sympathetic toward their relationship last week, and but she's kind of had enough. I mean, she's drunk. You can't blame her in a weird way. She'd had a few. True. You can't blame her in a weird way, because obviously this has kind of interfered with the burger van and Eve's kind of work and so on and so forth. So I get it, but she's not gonna keep that secret, especially if she feels like that it's getting in the way of her life. So Stacey isn't going to keep it secret for very long, and she's, like you said, she's already dropped a huge one at the ceremony when she said, "Oh, your wife not dancing with you, is she?" And that there was instantly he was like, "Where's my wife? Where's my wife gone?" And so that was I feel like yes, there might be something happening, but I can't see them keeping it quiet for too long with Stacey knowing about it.
It sort of makes you wonder though, because from here, it's really still quite a long time till Christmas. Now, if this had been happening around sort of September time, then we'd kind of be we'd be starting to put two and two together by this point and think, oh well, Nish is going to discover the affair over the next couple of months, and then he's going to be on the floor on Christmas Day. And I've got to be honest, at this point, and I think this is probably deliberate on the writer's part, but at this point, I still have no idea how it's not Nish on the floor on Christmas Day, because he's really sort of building up his role as a villain. He's being not a nice person. I mean, obviously, Ravi's doing his thing in the background. So at the moment, those two are main suspects for me. And I'm thinking more Nish, which I feel like is what I'm supposed to be thinking at this point before a rug is inevitably pulled from beneath me. But I don't get where it goes from here in terms of the next 9 months of trying to work out who's on the floor of the Vic. It's all very exciting. I like it.
I feel like Nish kind of knows a little bit about Eve and Suki as well, though, because all the time he keeps saying to Suki I'm inviting Eve, I'm doing this with Eve, and he keeps always constantly mentioning it. But like, I just feel like, why would he be saying all that? And also think that Mitch was having an affair. Maybe he thinks that Suki's having an affair with everyone on the square,
well,
you know?
Well, I mean, do you remember, though, that the man that he killed was completely and utterly innocent of any crimes whatsoever, because Suki had been having a thing with his wife. So it's... I don't think Nish has got any idea of any sort of sexual improprieties from Suki in terms of her sexuality. So I think that I think he's basically just using Eve at the moment as a slave, effectively. Like as he does with all women, he sort of looks at Eve and thinks, "That's a woman; she will do my bidding, and I will give her 50 quid, and then the thing I want to do will happen." I've got no interest as to how Suki feels about Eve, because he was thinking that Suki was just being homophobic. Whereas, obviously, we know that Suki was actually feeling really awkward towards Eve because she was trying to sleep with her. So there's a lot more to come with this.
It's like a GB filter, isn't it? Like Dan Wootton. He's a terribly homophobic man and yet a gay man.
I know. Madness, really, isn't it?
It's like a contradiction in terms. And that's what Nish kind of thought that Suki was. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's
it's so political. You're throwing all your political opinions out.
No. Yeah, I mean, going back to you saying like you think it could be Nish on the floor of the Vic, I feel like it's too early to kind of.
I know, and it's clearly not going to be Nish on the floor of the Vic, because that's so incredibly obvious. It might be, but it just seems so incredibly obvious that it's going to be Nish.
But sometimes the obvious answer is the right one, isn't it?
I know, but I feel like because they've foreplanned this so far in advance, it feels like there's got to be some huge twist on the horizon. And I just wonder what it is, because at the moment, if Christmas Day was tomorrow, I would be quite set and ready for Nish to be on the floor, so there's a lot still to come, which is very exciting. But as far as Suki and Eve are concerned, it would appear that their affair has now officially begun. So how Suki's going to manage to keep the secret, I do not know, because Nish has got her eye on her.
How will Vinny cope?
Vinny's going to have a nervous... Poor Vinny's
my goodness!
By the time this is done.
Did you hear the line this week as well when Suki said to Nish like that Vinny is barely keeping control of the chicken shops? And I just thought,
no, it's no surprise, really.
Vinny,
he's like landlord.
He can't do anything right.
He can't do anything right, bless him.
They killed the wrong Vanessa, I'm
He's
sure.
So adorable. I love Vinny. He's so cute. He doesn't have a clue about life. He really doesn't.
I know. It's just bless him.
He's lost without Kira guiding him.
Well, this is another thing. I feel like we've talked about this before, but like now Kira is gone. It feels like the story's kind of.
I know.
It feels like it needs a Kirat somewhere.
Yeah, I know. I would not be surprised if Kirat sort of makes an appearance at some point, because his exit was very sudden and very sort of quite jarring in a way. It feels like Kirat's exit was not supposed to happen, because the fact that we had to be told after the episode that was his exit kind of suggested that wasn't supposed to be his exit. So I'm kind of curious as to where it's going to go from here, but we will see, because we have many months more to come with this. And if you have any more theories, please do stick them in the comment section below, or get in contact with us via any of the methods that we will reveal to you at the end of the show. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was another week in Walford. So we have one final section left to go, because I don't know if you're aware of this. I haven't told you, but I want to discuss this, but we're going to discuss this. We have a topic to discuss and maybe some emails on I Ain't Want to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't want to gossip.
Is it all change at the Vic? New reports have come out this week to suggest that a brand new family are being lined up to take over the Vic, with Strictly Come Dancing's Molly Rainford at the centre. The show's signature boozer changing hands is undoubtedly the most significant way to mark the beginning of a new era. But is it really an essential move, with Linda still doing a superb job as landlady, is the question currently being posed by the Metro. Now, Alex, I would obviously kind of remark straight away, if a new family is coming in to take over the Vic, your brain automatically goes straight to the Carters when they came in I want to say 2013. And they were an instant success, the Carters, weren't they? They kind of hit the ground running, and fans instantly sort of took to them with all the storylines that they were being, they were all instantly great characters. You had Johnny coming out and everything that was going on with Shirley and Dean and Nick and Dean and Linda and Dean. And, there was a lot going on with Aunt Babe. But I feel like a new family being thrust into kind of the key location in the show is kind of a risky move. You know, it is lightning strike twice in that regard, because for every Carter, you've also got a Michelle Collins in Coronation Street, which didn't go down too well. You know, so what do you think? A new family in the Vic? Would you welcome?
You got an Eddie Royal.
Yes. Would you welcome a new family in the Vic?
Yes, I would. And I would say it is time. I think Linda on her own isn't. You need a full family for the Vic, in my opinion, or at least a couple who like with a secret or something. I don't think Linda on her own works as a Vic landlady. Plus the whole alcohol. I still can't figure out an alcoholic working in the Queen Vic. I know it's always kind of like there.
Phil worked there for years.
I mean, no, he was always but he was always like not the main stalwart there. It's like Linda is, if that makes sense. So that's why I can't really figure it out. So no, I would welcome a new family. Like you said, though, it needs to be done quite confidently. I think. Yeah. I think that the only way it will work is if they know they literally go in there knowing this is what we're doing the family, and this is and it's going to be the whole story. And as it stands at the moment, there's already a big story centered around the Vic, which involves 6 women. So I feel like that if there is going to be an introduction to a new family or landlord lady to the Vic, I feel like it won't happen until after that's happened. So I can't imagine it happening because New Year.
The flash forward, very much suggested that Linda was still in the Vic. You know, because she was standing behind the bar on the final shot. She had come from the kitchen. Nobody in the scene, apart from possibly the body on the floor, was a new character. Everything was all very established. And also, Lola's picture was on the bar. And would a new family kind of come in and instantly sort of put up this picture of a girl that none of them knew on the bar? It seems very much a thing that Linda would do. But you know, there's a lot of questions in the air as to if a new family is coming in. Is it even going to be until after Christmas? So you know, or maybe they'll kind of introduce the family, let them have some storylines around the square, and then move them into the Vic. Maybe that's the plan.
That's what I wonder, if they're going to be just introduce the family instead of just throwing them into the Vic. They're going to introduce them to the square, and then they eventually get. Maybe this could be the last straw for Linda to sell up the Vic, and then that gets carried on over to the new family. But then is that the right approach for introducing a new family to the Vic? I mean, the other thing is it's nice with the Carters. They had Shirley, who was already on the show, so they had like a link to Square already. So it would be nice if they could somehow attach a link to maybe people or a person or couple or family that are already there. Maybe they could be related to Linda in some sort of way. Maybe they could be another extension to the Carter family. I saw yes. I mean, I saw that you I saw the article and it said something about Ray Winston, but you said that that's kind of being
apparently the BBC have denied that, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. No, that's true. But the kind of Ray Winston's kind of the same kind of style as what Danny Dyer is, kind of like a cockney lad, you know,
gangster
that kind
type,
of style. So it makes me feel like now you've said that, I do not want a gangster bringing the Vic.
The Queen shenanigans.
I do not want shenanigans. Well, please. I hate gangster storylines in the fucking EastEnders.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen. We are a million miles away from this happening yet, and it is kind of all just sort of hearsay at the moment. You know, we don't have these reports going EastEnders. You know, something gets announced and then gets forgotten about and then never happens, or it might be something that is very much in the planning, and we might have an official announcement in the coming weeks. Who knows?
I think that's where we're at. They're in the planning stage, and obviously Molly has been perhaps approached about it, or at least she's done an audition for it. And I feel like that's where they're at, because I think the planning, if we're looking at the planning phases, then they're probably not going to introduce them until September time, which would then kind of maybe work within the time frame.
That's
for
true.
Getting that Christmas story done and dusted, and then moving in them in January, something along those lines.
That's very true. I mean, it's been sort of in the pipeline in discussion for a while about the fact that, like, well, what happens with the Vic now? And it very much felt that that's what Alfie was back for, and we've not seen Alfie now for quite a long time.
Oh,
so
hadn't been lovely.
Well, but it seemed that was that was why he'd returned, wasn't it? Because it kind of made sense for him and Kat to sort of move back into the Vic. But it seems very much like that's not on the agenda. So I don't know, but the questions are all up in the air. It's potentially exciting. I do wonder about like throwing a new family straight into the way that the Carters came in, because even though the Carters worked fantastically, it does almost feel like the show is going kind of like these are these new characters, like them. You have to like these characters because these are now in charge of the bit, you know. So the viewers sometimes don't take too kindly to being told and be having characters forced upon them. They like to get to know characters before they kind of get given the big storylines, as the Carters were. I mean, the Carters hit the ground running and basically never stopped running until they slowly disintegrated over the years. So
you have to remember also that when they announced that Danny Dyer was coming onto the show, a lot of people watched the first episode out of curiosity, hoping or thinking that Danny Dyer was going to be an absolute train wreck.
Yes.
And actually, he ended up being
great success.
Quite a pleasant surprise.
A modern day classic.
He kind of he got himself into the show very well. So it surprised a lot of people, drew a bit an audience in, which is why I think if they are going to do this kind of like surprise family coming into the Vic, I think there is going to be a few surprise castings along the way. They have a habit at the moment of introducing actors who are quite well known. Patsy Kensit, for instance, and Vicky Michelle they've just introduced as well into the show, and Rocky, you know, Brian Connolly. So these are all people that people already are aware of. Yeah, and it's a good idea. Have done that in the past, but I feel like they're doing it a lot more this time around. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's someone who's almost surprisingly, it's a bit surprising that they've not been on the show until now. Yeah. And I've got full confidence that Chris Crenshaw will get it right. But no gangsters.
Let's be honest. His first episode, you got Charles and Camilla. So that guy knows how to hit and knows how to get the celebrities in, doesn't he? So there you go.
Got the pool.
There you go. So do let us know in the comment section below. What are your thoughts? Do you want a new family in the Vic? And what would you want from said family if they arrived? Or would you prefer the Vic to remain under its current management? Let us all know in the comment section, or by doing any of the following. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast, on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos. And you can listen to us on Apple, Anchor, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. Email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com, or have a look for at E20 After Dark on Twitter. Naughty drop.
Drop that one in there.
Drop that one on the end.
Well done.
There you go. Has to be done.
That's what they all say. Hey.
It's what they've all said to me over the years. So there we are. Then that's another episode all wrapped up. One down. Only 4 more to go. Alex, I'm getting sad.
4 more to go.
I don't like it.
I will say also that people just keep an eye on all of the social medias as well, because we'll be kind of popping a few questions out soon for like the final episode, the final show. So look out for that. However, I'm going to have to go rescue our cat because he is now having a fit, coughing up a furball.
Oh, lovely.
No, he's all right.
Medical drama.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Good. All right then. So until next week, dear listeners and viewers, it's goodbye from me.
It's goodbye for myself. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
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 That's it.